Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me. My name is Ahilan. I'm the Chief Energy Transition Officer at ABL Group. I think before I move from this picture, I just wanted to show that there is quite a slightly different angle to where we are coming at hydrogen. And that is that we are in the offshore business. So on the left-hand side, you see offshore wind energy picture. And we are one of the biggest offshore wind energy technical services firm in existence. So worked on more than 100 gigawatts of offshore wind energy projects and developments. In the middle, we have shipping. And on the right-hand side, we have offshore oil and gas. So we actually work in the pretty much dominated by the ocean. And what is interesting is that both the oil and gas industry and the maritime industry are pretty much either 100% producers or 100% users of carbon dioxide emitting stuff. So we have a big task to try to move that along. So, and I'm also conscious of the fact that I'm not an expert in electrolyzers, so I asked my colleagues to give me some slides to show you about. But what I would like to talk about is from an application point of view, what have we done with hydrogen in these sectors? And then I'm very happy to take some questions. So a quick intro to my company. I promise you this is the only advertising slide. We have four brands that we operate through. Offshore Wind Consultants on the left-hand side, as I said, is essentially a project management consulting firm. And then we actually acquired a technology spin-out from a French university called Central de Nantes, called Inercy. And that basically forms our renewables consulting arm. Longitude, which you will hear about a bit later, is a kind of specialist vessel design company. And that has now had some of the most interesting challenges to try to change what is 100% fossil-fueled industry into green energy. And ABL is the kind of umbrella consulting arm. And then AGR is a company that we acquired recently, which is a wells consulting company. Curiously enough, last week we won a geothermal project. We are doing carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So all those who are green amongst us must be delighted with the fact that we can actually redeploy some of the talent that has been generated out of oil and gas. So, moving on to the slide that I have here, I think I just wanted to probably very well covered by Dr. Rao already, I think. So I think I'm probably surplus to requirements here. Basically, there are three major electrolyzer technologies that we are attending to, either in terms of application in projects or in terms of challenges from our clients to consider as part of the solution. And what we have been working on, and you probably heard from a number of people yesterday about the versatility of PEM electrolyzers in terms of the response times and therefore the ability to be used efficiently with variable renewable energy. That is something that we see, and I have to say, so far, most of our applications, we've been looking at PEM electrolyzers. SOECs, we are still not in application, but it'll come. It'll come because of the efficiency argument that you have very eloquently stated. So we know that it's coming, but it's still very much in the developmental stage. A few years ago, I think UK got congratulated yesterday for having a hydrogen strategy. By the way, I also think that just because you have a strategy doesn't mean that you've got it right, but strategy, nevertheless, is a good start. So the strategy that they have at the moment was looking at very carefully at these three electrolyzer technologies and the cost reduction. And the only thing I want to point out here is that the cost reductions that you can see on the PEM electrolyzers would counter some of the arguments today about CapEx, overall levelized cost of hydrogen, that people argue against PEM when they consider the traditional alkaline electrolyzers. But it looks like by 2025 and beyond, we would actually start to look at some very competitive pricing. One of the fourth set of columns that you see there is interestingly dealing with curtailed electricity. What is happening in the UK, and I suspect it will be true by the time India gets into the offshore wind industry, is that the grid is just not man enough to do the job. So we have the situation where there is, I think I looked at the 2021 or 22 records in the UK, which are public, and that basically show something like 6% of the offshore generated electricity simply had to be curtailed, which is a sin, because you have put everything, all the overheads, everything to put in there, and you were simply not able to run the renewable energy farm at sea. And what they have tried to do is to use that curtailed electricity for hydrogen. The second development that we are seeing, which is that you might have noticed if you were following the UK renewable energy round, was that in the floating wind arena, Scotland took the lead and put out a tender, and there is a total award of around 28 gigawatts of floating wind to actually come on stream by, not come on stream. I think around the 2028 it starts to produce the construction. But the key problem there is that what do you do with 28 gigawatts of electricity? Because our grid is not so strong in Scotland, it is very strong in the south, and we can't actually get the electricity there. So an interesting challenge that we are currently looking at, and I think an example project might come up if I have time, and that actually looks at how do we actually turn that into hydrogen, ammonia, etc., and export that energy in the global market. So having said this kind of generality, and I'm sorry I can't be as authoritative as Dr. Rao on the electrolyzer, but at least I can speak a little bit about the applications that are happening in industry. I wanted to just cover off four major aspects in terms of our case studies. One is to talk about the consideration of hydrogen as a fuel and its derivatives as a fuel. The second, to look at the various production technologies that we had to actually consider. And thirdly, the vessels, because actually my background is a hydrodynamicist, so I'm very much passionate about the offshore area, and therefore the vessels is something that's very important. And then the increasing interest, and I think a lot of our very good speakers yesterday, and I think even today we have started to touch on the fact that there's no point creating something in a corner. You need the whole chain to be working in order for you to create the proper use of hydrogen. So the example that I have on the left-hand side is, both of these examples are actually for World Bank. So we are actually often working with World Bank, with developing countries, to look at how do they actually maximize the use of their own resources, even before the energy security question became a paramount issue after the invasion of Ukraine. So we have first done some work for Indonesia, and the work that we have done looks at the application of hydrogen for domestic shipping and for port operations, essentially completely decarbonizing the port operations and vessels, short-range vessels, I hasten to add, and then to look at the serious reductions that we can get in CO2. One of the big issues is when you have hydrogen, you also have to create a safe operating platform, if you are in a ship and we have lots of people, you have to have a great deal of emphasis on the safety. So we are actually starting right now a research project to look at the safety, modeling the safety in advanced ways, because one of the interesting, curious fact is that hydrogen has been used as rocket fuel for many, many decades. So NASA has done quite a lot of very systematic, quite advanced work in terms of hydrogen safety. And we are just starting a research project at Brunel University with one of my colleagues to actually create the safety model that should be used to apply to make sure that people who are going to be on board these vessels are never going to be placed in any greater risk than what they are used to. On the right-hand side, this is a project, I think this left-hand side is already finished. By the way, there is a link, so you can go and find out a little bit more if you like. And I'm very happy for these slides to be distributed. And also in Brazil, that's a very interesting, different problem. Just illustrates the country-specific nature of the hydrogen economy. In Brazil, the situation is that electricity is very much hydropowered. So it's already pretty much green, although I believe EU doesn't think it's green. But what I mean is that it's low carbon. The second is that they have tremendous amount of oil and gas. So their concept is that their hydrogen production is for export, and therefore they are trying to model what should be the chain in their country in order to make that export of hydrogen viability. Not necessarily hydrogen as hydrogen, but hydrogen and its derivatives. The other couple of examples, on the left-hand side, there was a clean maritime design competition that the UK government launched about 2 or 3 years ago. And in fact, I think we are just applying for the next phase of it as well. But we won this project together with Poole Harbour in the UK and a company called Green Hydrogen Solutions. And the idea was that a port that only serves short-range vessels and ferries and so on, how can it completely decarbonize its operations? So we started looking at the total amount of marine diesel use, because most of these vessels are short-range and therefore they did not use heavy fuel oil, which is, if you pardon my word, completely terribly polluting. Although now with IMO requirements, it's now the sulfur levels are lower. But the point is that the short-range vessels typically use what in the UK is called red diesel, marine diesel. And we were then considering how do we actually supplant that with green hydrogen. And to generate the green hydrogen, of course, you need to link up with some renewable energy. Our job was really to figure out whether we could develop a barge that can be moored on the side of the port and produce hydrogen from the electricity from the port, which you will say then is not really green, is it? And you'll be partly right, because 60% of the electricity, as it turns out, that was bought was actually renewables in that port. So we were able to use 60% green energy barge. I'm going to finish. 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Sorry. On the left-hand side, I just wanted to, I've gone too far. On the left-hand side, I think this is interesting for those of us who like to think electricity is the future. Electrical generation so what we have done here is to look at how do we actually model the complete chain, which we were talking about, from generation of renewable energy, which is a variable input, and at very large capacities. We are talking about 700 megawatts and 1.5 gigawatts. Then how do you turn that into hydrogen with an electrolyzer modeled as part of the total electrical system, from array cables, transmission cables, into the electrolyzer and then into the storage of hydrogen. So and including all the transient analysis and so on. It's actually quite an important study that has been done for I think the second, not the second, I think there's a similar study we've done for the Net Zero Transition Centre in the UK. So everybody is looking at hydrogen as part of the solution. Some years ago, for COP26, we showcased this work, which was done for the Caledonian Maritime Assets Company, which is to look at, I think you quoted an EU-funded project. This is also an EU-funded project, which was to look at hydrogen ferries. And with hydrogen ferry, with a Ro-Ro ferry, we actually took this right up to approval in principle by DNV. So all the work that had to be done to demonstrate the safety of a hydrogen fuel ferry, with fuel cells, by the way, not internal combustion engine, and that was pretty much taken to full approval. And it is actually proceeding with further next phase of the development. The other one is, apparently I'm sworn to secrecy about who the client is, but I'll give you the guess that it's one of the biggest green lobbying charity in the world. And they are very interested in not having any of their research vessels using fossil fuels. So we are actually designing the use of alternate fuels and flexibility in the design so that they could actually carry on using it with all good conscience while they lobby for the green economy. The last one, I think pretty much that slide was to look at the chain of offshore wind, hydrogen, ammonia, pipeline, and then developing the ports. You might know that the biggest realized project in hydrogen is the NEOM project in Saudi Arabia. So we have been working with NEOM to decarbonize their port because they have put a very strong target that by 2030, the port will have zero emissions, and it will not even entertain fossil fuel ships to bunker. So no fossil fuel bunkering. And this is a very fast change for Saudi Arabia. As I casually joke, and maybe I hope it's an allowed joke, and that is like saying the Archbishop of Canterbury has decided the Quran is the right answer. Saudi Arabia, which is producing some of the largest amounts of oil, actually decides that they want to have emission-free energy. And in the next one, I had a video, which I think the link will be available, but apparently there is no internet connection, so I can't show it. But this was done for COP27. EGPC wanted to demonstrate that even their oil and gas operations can be very low carbon, so that the carbon used per barrel was very low, and came to us to look at how do we actually change all the supporting vessels that are used for the import of oil that would actually be green, and what are the options between hydrogen and electricity.
We have to wind up.
Done. Last one, conclusion slide. I just wanted to say, at the moment what we are seeing is alkaline and PEM electrolyzers are the main commercially available thing, but as has been pointed out by greater people than me, electrolyzer technology is developing very fast. It's not clear who might win out on the LCOH question. And I think it's been remarked already, OPEX in terms of electricity costs dominate the levelized cost of hydrogen. And interest in green hydrogen is expanding. We are seeing a lot of work on market studies and use as a marine fuel. And now we are seeing quite a lot on how does that hydrogen chain looks like. And then if this is for the hydrogen industry, I'm very, very passionate about the green hydrogen industry working. And I think I have some very strong views about blue and other colored hydrogens. But what I just wanted to show was that hydrogen is a bad idea for road transport. That slide is simply to demonstrate why the science can never be beaten. You can fake the economics, but the scientific fundamentals can never be beaten. And that, I think, shows you why road transport. So however much I hate Elon Musk, he made the right choice. The second point is that hydrogen should really focus on what are the no-regrets solution. And there's a very, very good research body in Germany called the Agora Energiewende. I think it's the company. And it's a very, very well-researched study. And please have a look at that. And I think the no-regret solution there basically shows transport, put it onto hard-to-abate sectors. Everything else is controversial. Some of the largest truck manufacturers who first started looking at hydrogen have now moved away to batteries. So we should use hydrogen to very much focused effect, because currently the hydrogen production emits twice the total emission of the United Kingdom. And if we just use green hydrogen to replace that, we will serve the world much faster and quicker and make it green. Thank you.